Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Trying to find a time to go live to cater to all countries is tough. So welcome wherever you are. Hey, Paradox, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Curious, I'm glad you made it. Hey, Julie. Thank you so much, guys, for coming along. Curious says, excuse me, she's still eating her crumpet because for us in New Zealand, it is 10 a.m. on a Saturday morning and some of us have just not long gotten up. But we have a long show or a big show today because there is so much going on around the world at the moment in true crime. I am going live on Facebook as well. And I know that Facebook users that usually wait for local New Zealand cases to come out. And I am working on one of those, but there's just so much going on internationally that we've got to cover a bit because it's just mad. So thanks. Please give us a thumbs up. Any creators you pop into, give them a thumbs up. It really helps. I have just come over from John Lorden's Secret Studio live, and if you don't go there on a Saturday morning, well, for New Zealand it's a Saturday morning, you've got to check it out. It's a load of fun, and John Lorden is amazing. So I really enjoy popping over there, and they're so welcoming and friendly. It's so good, and they love to support my channel, which I feel is amazing as well. If you don't know, I actually did an interview with John Lorden a while ago, and I asked him lots of information, lots of questions about why he does what he does, how he got into it, his past jobs, and all that sort of thing. So I've left the link in the description box below for that interview with John Lorden if you want to see it. I don't even know where to start today, guys. There's just so much going on. It blows my mind. So we're going to have a look firstly at the case of the missing, or no, the hikers, the family that mysteriously were found dead with their dog and their baby. We've got some information here of how they died. I don't know if I believe it, but let's have a look anyway. So we're looking at BuzzFeedNews.com. A family of 3 and their dog died mysteriously on a hike. We finally know why. Annie Hall, hey, welcome. Autumn, great to have you over from John's stream. We're going to have a look at the story in a moment. Hey, Julie, she had cranberry muffins. This living on an island has made me a bit inventive. It's like Survivor, but with a small store. That's awesome. Okay, let's have a look. Investigators say a couple, their infant daughter and family dog, died of hypothermia and possible dehydration while hiking in California this summer. I don't know what you guys think of this as a way that they died. It seems a bit full on to me, but let's read this article. When the bodies of Alan Chung, John Gerish, and 1-year-old daughter and family dog Oski were found on a Central California hiking trail on August the 17th, investigators were stumped. Hey, Amy Bumble, welcome. Discovered in a small valley called the Devil's Gulch, their remains showed no obvious wounds or signs of trauma, no indication that an animal or another person was to blame. Very mysterious, this one. Had it been a lightning strike, a release of carbon monoxide or other gases from nearby abandoned mines, exposure to cyanide, suicide, it took a long time for them to come out with the cause of death. I know they did lots of different tests. One by one, all of these theories were ruled out. For 2 months, the deaths remained a mystery. Welcome, Sonia. But on Thursday, sheriff's deputies in Mariposa, a small mountain town east of San Jose, that serves as a gateway to the Sierra National Forest and Yosemite National Forest Park, announced they had finally identified the cause. And they are saying heat. This is a bit weird on it. A bit weird. I'm not quite sure how I feel about this. Sheriff Jeremy Brees told reporters they had determined the family died of hypothermia and possible dehydration due to excessive heat. Hypothermia is an abnormally high body temperature brought on by the failure of heat regulating mechanisms. Sorry, I'll try that word again. Mechanisms in the body due to environmental conditions, according to the National Institute of Health. Whew. The cause of death for the dog was still being determined, but was believed to be the same. Bruce said this is an unfortunate and tragic event due to the weather. This is a bit weird. And he says, I think the weird thing is that if it's hypothermia/dehydration, why were all four of them in the same spot? Yeah, this is a bit weird to me. This is a bit weird. The Jerish Chung family was reported missing late on August the 16th after British-born Jerish, a 45-year-old who had previously worked as a software engineer at Google, failed to log on for his new job at Snapchat. A nanny scheduled to look after their baby, and I just don't want to say her name because I don't want to muck it up, Miju, that day said nobody had answered the door. Chung, 30, was a yoga instructor who was studying to be a therapist. The couple had moved from San Francisco to Mariposa last year during the pandemic to give their young family more space. They'd purchased multiple properties in the area, including one near the Hike Cove Trail from where they first set out. The bodies were discovered by search teams around 11 a.m. the next day on zigzagging section of adjoining trail about 1.6 miles from the family's truck. It's believed they had set out 2 days earlier on the morning of August 15th and had walked more than 5 miles prior to their deaths. They probably went to just venture out, so it wouldn't have been like an extreme hike of any sort, family friend said. It was probably just kind of, since they lived near the trailhead, let's take a look at these things, kind of. So there is a map there. I don't know if you can see it properly. It's got where they were found down here. Of course, I'm going to leave this in the description box below so that if you want to do a bit more searching for information, you can do. The couple were experienced hikers, and this is what gets me. Hey, Pam, welcome, honey. The couple were experienced hikers who once went backpacking in the Himalayas, but a 2018 wildfire had burned off most vegetation in the area where they died, leaving little shade. When the family first set out, temperatures were already in the 70s, and this is America. I don't know what the 70s mean because we use degrees Celsius here, so I don't know. When the family first set out, temperatures were already in their 70s, but as they descended in elevation, the temperature rose accordingly, climbing to a peak of 107 to 109 degrees Fahrenheit. So if one of you guys in chat can find out what that means in degrees for me, that would be cool. And he says, you'd think maybe one of them might have tried to go for help if one collapsed, etc. And one of them may be a bit further away, but it's like they all dropped down at exactly the same time. Absolutely right. It makes just no sense to me whatsoever. Amy says 1.6 miles away from the truck seems odd that they didn't make it back. It does. It all seems odd. Brees described the trail as very deceptive because when viewed online, as Jerish had done the night before setting out, the steep changes in elevation are not apparent. The couple were only carrying one 85-ounce container of water, and there was no evidence they had ingested any water from a nearby river. Investigators had found high levels of deadly toxin produced by blue-green algae in the river, but Brees said that they did not believe it was a factor. 41 degrees Celsius. Woo! Thanks, Amy. That is hot. That is really, really, really hot. So yeah, I don't know. Are they right? I mean, that's damn hot. Algae experts told BuzzFeed News the amount recorded in the river water would not be enough to kill adults so quickly unless they consumed a staggering amount. You would drown before you drank enough water, Professor Rachel Kudella told BuzzFeed News. Federal authorities in Washington, D.C. are also working to crack into Jerish's phone in order to glean some more information, such as whether he tried to call for help. You'd think they would have done that already. It can't take that long. I mean, it's 2 months this thing has been a mystery. So you'd think they would have gotten into his phone by now. Just saying. At Tuesday's press conference, a sheriff's office spokesperson read out a statement from the relatives. The loss of a close relative is a pain almost beyond words. When that loss is multiplied by 4, and one of that 4 is a baby of just 1 year old, that pain is indescribable, the family said. Some questions have been answered, and we will use this information as a way of helping us come to terms with the situation. However, the question of why can never be answered and will remain. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? This is odd. Autumn says, I know this is now a solved case, but it still seems weird. Absolutely weird is how I'm going to describe it, because it's weird. And he says, must have been a creepy scene to find. So sad, young family and their dog. I don't know. It's odd. Definitely going to be questions, even though solved. Pam's having trouble with her texts. She's making hardly any sense with lots of problems. I followed him from his very first life. He is amazing. Trudy, hello. Is that you talking about John Lorden? If you are, yes, he is absolutely amazing. John is great. He was my first YouTuber that I followed ever. I always wanted to be compassionate and caring and respectful the same way he has. So he has been a great inspiration to me. He really has. Amy says, I can't see them all passing at the same time, that close to their vehicle. And it says they were really experienced hikers. So that just makes it even more weird. They knew what they were doing, it appears. You'd think that being experienced, they would know about these things. They would know about hypothermia. They would know about heat stroke and all that sort of stuff. They had water with them. It just seems odd, all sort of dead in the same sort of area. Autumn says, do we know if they died simultaneously? I haven't heard whether they did, but I just don't understand. If one of them dropped dead, wouldn't the other ones go for help or ring or go to the van, back to the truck? I don't know. It seems odd. Amy says, yeah, exactly. Why did they have such little water? How much did it say? 18 or 85 ounce container of water. I don't know how much that is. We don't use it. I don't know. Someone else will have to find that for me. I don't know. But yeah, I just don't understand how this happened. I think that maybe they're just giving this heated exhaustion thing some airtime because they just actually don't know what happened. I'm going to give a chance for people to come up and have a chat with me at the end if anyone has any thing to say about these cases as we go along. So that's one case. We might have some more talk about that later, but there's a really important case that I want to talk about at the moment, and that is, hey, Kimberly, welcome. 4-year-old Cleo Smith is still missing in Western Australia. Let me fix this so you can see what I'm looking at. This is very, very sad. So I wanted to give a bit of a update on this case and how the search is going. So we're at 9news.com.au. It says land search scaled back for missing WA girl Cleo Smith. Excuse me. Had to have a cough. Just saying. All right. She's so beautiful. The land search for missing 4-year-old Cleo Smith has been scaled back almost a week after she disappeared from a remote Western Australian campsite. Detectives are now focused on searching for a possible kidnapper, appealing for dashcam and security footage within a 1,000-kilometre radius of the Blowholes campsite. Police are specifically looking for a video taken between 6 p.m. last Friday and 6 p.m. on Sunday, with a particular interest in motels, service stations, children's clothing stores, pharmacies, and camping stores. So we know that they think she's gone from that area. Police have contacted countless businesses for CCTV, and WA police community announcement is dominating radio airwaves. This morning, senior police investigator with the WA Major Crimes Division outlined why they suspect missing 4-year-old Cleo was abducted from her family's campsite. Sorry, guys. I got this damn frog in my throat, and he's just not leaving. Hey, Rio, welcome. So Detective Superintendent Rod Wild spoke with Today the morning after the WA government announced a $1 million reward for information leading to Cleo's recovery. That's a huge reward, huge. We've been searching that area now for almost a week, and unfortunately that hasn't led us anywhere. So we haven't found Cleo in an extensive search, the superintendent said. So that, gathered with some of the evidence that we have gained from the tent and the surrounds there, has led us to believe that possibly someone else was involved in her disappearance. The community is also pitching in to help find the missing 4-year-old with a Facebook group called Bring Cleo Home, amassing more than 52,000 members. Wow, that's amazing. So what I'll do at the end is I will find that link, and I will put it in the description box below so that if you want to go over, you can. Kimberly says, I need some hot tea, honey, whiskey, and an orange slice that will help. Well, the vape that I'm on, that you might hear occasionally, and I apologize, does not help. I must say that. He said, so we're talking about the $1 million reward. Superintendent Wild said a lot of information had been coming from the public, but urged people to continue coming forward and contacting Crime Stoppers. He said, we are hopeful that will lead us to discovering where she is. He said the $1 million reward was a big prompt for anybody who had concrete information. There is a real possibility that someone knows what has happened to Cleo, he said. It may be someone close to the person responsible for her disappearance, and we ask that the person comes forward and tells police. Hey, Mark, welcome. Hey, Paul, welcome. It's nice to see some people coming over from the Facebook side. Mother's plea. Cleo's mum yesterday issued a plea directly to her daughter following the government's announcement of the reward. My princess, where are you? Ali Smith posted alongside an appeal from the WA police. Earlier yesterday, she wrote, I miss you, I love you, please come home to me. Cleo was last seen at 1:30 a.m. on Saturday in a tent. She was sleeping in with her parents at the Blowholes campsite in McLeod, north of Carnarvon. As a parent, of a girl, as a parent, just full stop, this is tough. This is really, really tough story. I urge anyone who has knowledge of the location of Cleo, please provide that info to police and ensure that we can provide some certainty and information to Cleo's loved ones, Premier Mark Gowan said. He also said there were over 100 police personnel on the case, as well as volunteers and army reservists. Police have taken hundreds of Crime Stopper phone calls, primarily about suspicious people in the area. It is a sad situation and very difficult situation, he said. Kimberly says, was this a public campsite with other campers there? Yes, it was. It was a public campsite, and apparently it was real busy that night. There was a lot going on, and there was a lot of people. Thanks, Curious, for putting that link in. That's awesome. Annie says, so someone must have taken her between 2:30 and 5. Mum gave her water at 1:30 a.m. and it gets light there at 5:30 a.m. at the moment. So it would probably be before that. Yeah, you're right, Annie. You're right. WA Police Deputy Commissioner Cole Blanche said the $1 million reward was a significant step towards establishing where Cleo was. It is the equal biggest reward ever put forward in WA. Mr. Blanche said the government had approved the reward money as soon as police had requested it. The cooperation of the community is what we are urgently seeking. Someone has the knowledge that can help. Now there's a million reasons why you need to come forward. Despite an extensive land, sea, and air search, we have not yet located her body. Her disappearance strikes at the heart of West Australians, and I am here to provide assurance to the community that everything that can be done is being done. Hey, Angelina, welcome. There has been a lot of anguish, and there has been a huge outpouring of grief from the community. They have been doing it tough, but are dedicated. Superintendent Rod Wild of the Major Crime Division said authorities were hopeful they would find her alive, but we hold great fears for her safety, he said. He said police were led to believe the little girl had been taken from the campgrounds where she went missing from because of how many days the search had gone on. We imagine we would locate her given the amount of resources and the detailed search that has taken place that leads us to believe she was taken. Mr. Wild said police were not questioning any suspects yet. Oh, sad. Apparently someone heard a car in the night. Yes, so I covered this in a live stream a couple back, and when we went through that particular article, there was mention of someone hearing a car speeding off at about 1:30 a.m, or I think it was. I would have to go back to that live. Yeah. Water at 1:30 a.m. Yep, she got up and got water from her mum at 1:30 a.m. And he said some people were suspicious if she was even on that trip, but they said today that they got CCTV from a nearby shack that puts her at the scene. I don't know where these people come from that question whether she was at the scene or not. Anyway, search enters 7th day. The reward comes as the search for missing girl enters its 7th day. Although efforts intensified over the last few days, with authorities even bringing in the ADF, I don't know what that is, to assist with the search, police say they still have no suspects in the disappearance. Officers yesterday did reveal, though, that the zip to the tent she was sleeping in was left open higher than she could have reached. I'll say it again. Officers yesterday revealed the zip to the tent she was sleeping in was left open higher than she could have reached. That's really sad. Yeah, curious. It was good that they could put her there just to shut up those people that thought she wasn't. You know what I mean? Julie says they have done so much work already. It is great to see, and the $1 million reward is bound to loosen some lips. Oh, yeah, it sounds like they've thrown everything at this case. So this is a picture of the exact pajamas she was in, like a onesie, and the sleeping bag that went missing with her. And that says a lot, because if she got out, and he says, and she wouldn't have taken her sleeping bag with her. Absolutely. If she just got out to go for a wander, did she take her sleeping bag? I don't think so. Was she sleeping by herself in a tent? No, she was sleeping beside her sibling, and her mum and dad were in the same tent. I think there was a little bit of a partition in the middle or something like that, but she was in the tent with her parents. Autumn says, I was skeptical that she was taken, to be honest, but it seems more likely. Yeah, it does. Amy says her sleeping bag was gone. Yes, the sleeping bag is missing as well. And that is very telling, in my opinion. The tent has been seized for a forensic examination. The account given to us by Cleo's parents, there is nothing to indicate that their account is anything but accurate and truthful, Inspector Mundy said. More than 20 registered sex offenders who live nearby have been spoken to by police, while authorities also try to track down all campers who may have been present at the time of Cleo's disappearance. Officers also say on their agenda is investigating reports of a screeching car around the time she went missing. We haven't ruled it out or in. It's a little bit unsubstantiated. That's a big word. Little Cleo was last seen at 1:30 a.m. on Saturday when she woke her mother to ask for a drink of water. She went back to sleep in her pink pajamas shortly after. By morning, she and her sleeping bag had vanished. The hours in between leave a 5-hour window, meaning by car she could have travelled as far north as places that I don't know, but far. Police say they will not stop searching the area where Cleo was last seen until they are certain she is not there. And any information, I do have the information going on the bottom of the screen right now. So if you know information. It's likely she was kidnapped while her parents slept, and that's rocked the town. The public is doing as much as they can. This has really, really affected a lot of people. Yeah. Amy, how old is the sibling? Did they see anything? I can't remember from that previous live I did, but I think it was not very old anyway. I think I can't say, but not very old. Angelina, hello. That's so sad. It's crazy they didn't hear anything. Yeah. Pam says some people think Dawkins was never at the campsite. Yeah, there's people that think all sorts of things. Curious says it was a 3-room tent. The part in the middle was called an annex. I think that has confused a lot of people, but you can Google tents. Yeah. I was thinking the sound of a zip in the quiet night is quite loud, Annie says. The thing is, I don't know how busy it was there, because the last article we read said there was quite a few people around. So it's unclear whether they were camping a lot near other people and how much sound there would have been while they were sleeping. Julie says it was covered yesterday by an American presenter who is good, so lots of coverage. The world is so tiny these days, it is bound to trigger some info. That's good. The sister is just a baby. I thought it was, a young child. I did. Julie says, I gave up camping with my kids because they wouldn't sleep. You know what? With all the stuff that's going on around the world with camping and national parks and everything, I'm just not a camper. I would not go camping anymore. Kimberly says, I had a 3-room tent with a small room in the middle with my kids when we would go camping. And then she says, you could hear someone breathe. We don't know. We don't know how, if, they were deep sleepers. Who knows? But it doesn't appear that the parents have anything to do with this. Curious says, I think the campsite is close to the sea, so the noise of the zip could have gone unheard. Yeah, I think that too. Annie says, in the interview, the parents both had arms crossed and interesting body language. Nearly every single comment I read underneath thought they were dodgy. I'm not sure. I mean, what could they have done? Okay, so you're on the fence, Annie, about whether the parents were involved or not? The police are keeping the options open on persons of interest. Well, from this article that I've read, it did say that they don't think that the parents were involved. Or it appears, I think they said it appears that what they were saying was truthful and honest. Pam says they need to think back in the last 2 or 3 days before did they see someone around running into a signature. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. That word. What's that word? And he says, I can't even go camping if I wanted to. Ongoing lockdown. Yes. Some of New Zealand is in lockdown at the moment, and I'm sorry about that. It's not where I am. Amy says, as a psychologist, I don't put much faith in body language analysis without prior baseline data about the person. I wouldn't put them any blame on them yet. Amy, I hear you. I think that's correct. I don't think we should put any blame on the parents just yet. And in my opinion, it looks like someone took her, in my opinion. Walking Blues, welcome. It's statistically more likely to be the parents, but it's too early to start pointing fingers. The police will get to the bottom of it. Absolutely. I don't want to have any rumors or speculation coming from my channel. It's something if you know me, I try not to do. So I definitely don't want any finger pointing. They've said there's no suspects at the moment, and we'll just have to keep an eye on the story and see how it goes. Annie says the police interviewed her birth father for 3 hours. Would love to know what he told them. Yeah. I've seen them as young and very scared. They have probably seen how the Wells have been treated and are afraid to fart. Curious. I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Exactly. I don't cover the Summer Wells case very often or much about it because of the circus that involves that case. And yeah. I mean, who knows if they even know about YouTube and know about that case. But Angelina, I would go crazy if I miss one of my children. I would not have time to chat with anyone. Well, they're not chatting. I mean, they're putting information out there, aren't they? We can't convict based on opinion. We need facts. Yes, that's what I like. I like facts. Did they see someone more than they should have, like every time they went to the store or showers or anywhere? Sounds like there was a lot of people there. I don't know if they would have. I hope they are running background checks on everyone who was at the camping ground around them. Well, I don't know if they've found everybody that was camping around them. They're still asking for people to come forward, as well as asking for all the CCTV footage that is around the town or the place. You know what I mean? But it's so sad, so very sad, and it's something that we will definitely keep an eye on anyway. Very, very sad. It's good to have you all in here. Curious. Kiwi. They only arrived that night just on sunset and they set up the tents in the dark. Right. So was someone watching them right from that beginning then and seeing them set up, seeing the young girl, seeing where they slept? Autumn says, I still struggle with thinking that someone could open the tent and take her without her parents or anyone else knowing. Maybe that's just because I'm a light sleeper. Yeah, Autumn, I sometimes can deep sleep and sometimes not. I mean, we just don't know. And I don't want this to be a witch hunt for the family at all. We need facts and before we go doing anything like that. So please don't do that. All right. I want to move on to the next story. Like I said, there's so much going on at the moment. There's so much to talk about. And I think at the end of the stream, once we've gone through all the updates that are coming up, I've got Larry Milliete arrest affidavit coming up. We're going to talk about Don Wells / Summer Wells, what's been happening in that one very briefly. And then obviously we're going to talk about the Brian Laundrie case as well. So we'll get there. Curious. Yes, someone could have already been set up across from them watching, but I don't know. No, we don't know. She says, Amy, I wondered how you could sleep through that too, but I have to sleep with earplugs as my husband snores. Oh, you poor thing. And he sleeps like the dead. Maybe their situation was similar. Maybe. Autumn said, absolutely. I'm wondering maybe something like one of the parents got up to pee and she snuck out after them or something. Yeah, we're just going to have to wait till we get more info or more facts. Hopefully we get some info or some more facts. Anyway, all right, we're going to move on. This is not exactly a true crime story, but I wanted to cover it anyway because it's going a bit nuts, and I thought I'd just give it 5 minutes to go over this. So this is independent.co.uk, which I'm trying to pause. Alec Baldwin shooting, actor cooperating with police after firing prop gun that killed Helena Hutchins. This is a very, very sad story. Very, very sad. Alec Baldwin says his heart is broken after firing a prop gun that killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins and wounded director Joel Souza on the set of his new film, authorities have said. So this is a very crazy story, very crazy. The movie, called Rust, was being filmed at the Bonanza Creek Ranch outside Santa Fe, New Mexico, and filming has been temporarily suspended. You would hope so. Santa Fe County deputies were called to the scene at 1:50 p.m. on Thursday. Miss Hutchins was taken to the University of New Mexico Hospital by helicopter, where she was pronounced dead. Mr. Souza was taken to Christus St. Vincent Regional Medical Center, where he underwent treatment for his injuries, and he was released on Friday morning. Thank goodness he has been released. And very sad. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office said in a statement that the pair were shot when a prop firearm was discharged by 68-year-old Baldwin, who is a producer and actor on the film, which is about an accidental killing. Mr. Baldwin released a statement on Friday to say he was heartbroken. He says, "I'm fully cooperating with the police investigation to address how this tragedy occurred, and I am in touch with her husband, offering my support to him and his family," he wrote in a post on his Twitter and Instagram account. "My heart is broken for her husband, their son, and all who knew and loved Helena." This poor guy is going to have to live with this for the rest of his life. It's happened before on a set as well, but I don't know how this happened. And he says, "I used to think prop guns were just that, not that they could actually kill someone." Well, I don't know much about guns or prop guns, but it seems a bit weird that it had like live bullets in it. You know what I mean? That's just weird. Don't prop guys use blanks? You'd think so. Who on earth would put live rounds in a gun? This guy, Alec Baldwin, this is going to affect him for the rest of his life. He's never, and the families, of course, the families involved. We can't forget that. But it just seems so damn weird. Amy says, "I think it had blanks in it, but they still can be deadly. Never seen a real gun in my life." Neither have I, Amy. So if there's any gun specialists in the room that might be able to tell us a bit more. Kimberly says that happened to Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son. Yeah, it did. It did. On the set of The Crow. I think you're right. My question is, why did the director and the cinematographer get shot, not the other actors? We don't know how it went down. We don't know where the gun was pointing when it went off, or where they were all standing, or what happened. Yeah. Curious says, "I read it this morning, but can't remember details. I think the blank exploded." Let's see if we've got any more information. New Mexico prosecutor opens investigation into the shooting. This was an hour ago. Santa Fe's top prosecutor says she has begun an investigation into possible criminal charges stemming from the fatal shooting of Helena Hutchins. Marie Carmack Altuiz told Deadline she was assisting the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office and had offered our full support to them. "At this time, we do not know if charges will be filed," she said. "We will look into the facts and evidence of the case with great discretion and have further information at a later time. Our thoughts are all with all affected by this tragedy. Production on the movie has been suspended." So, I mean, they're saying they're going to do a full-on investigation. And he says, "I Googled all about prop guns last night and kind of understood it, but hard to explain." Right. Autumn's got a link there. I don't know if I can actually open the link. Isn't that weird? I'm just trying to see if I can get that link, but I can't. My chat's trying to keep up. Just give me a minute. Is that the link? No. It's not that easy streaming, guys. Let me just say. Okay, let's have a look. Alec Baldwin reportedly walked off the set of the film Rust and protested the working conditions just hours before cinematographer Helena Hutchins was killed on Thursday. The LA Times reported Mr. Baldwin and half a dozen crew members left the set at the Bonanza Creek Ranch in New Mexico in a dispute over long hours and pay. The Times reported that the crew members were angry about having to drive 50 miles to the set location from Albuquerque each day instead of being put up in accommodation in nearby Santa Fe. Wow. Ms. Hutchins, a member of the IATSE union, had also been calling for better pay and conditions on set. She posted a photo on Instagram this week to show her support for the union's 60,000 members. Wow. So they're already complaining about what was going on set. You would think they would have safety specialists on set to triple check this stuff. Yeah, you would. You would. That's their job, right? Yeah, we all have those days. Autumn says, well, it talks about different types of guns used in movies. Some are stuffed with other materials instead of bullets. Those can still kill if something goes wrong. Okay. Trudy says, oh my goodness, I agree with Summer Wells' case. Again, I've been watching this from day one. Yeah, I have been too. 50 miles is 80 k's for us here in New Zealand, who use kilometres rather than miles. That's a long way to drive each day. I can understand why they were shitty at that. I mean, isn't Alec Baldwin a big star? Why didn't he get a trailer? I don't know. Don't they usually have trailers like on set for the important people, for the VIPs? Don't know. But it's odd. It's another odd story, and I just feel for those involved again. It's awful. It's awful. All right. Let's switch stories again. We'll have some time right at the end to talk about all the stories today. I want to talk about the Summer Wells case / Don Wells case, because it's more a Don Wells case than a Summer Wells case in most places at the moment. I don't want to give it too much attention because it's a circus and I don't want people coming after me for what I say. It's bloody tough. But there's this channel called the Behaviour Panel, and Don Wells went and did an interview with them on October the 8th or around that. These guys, they're 4 like behavior language experts, body language, I should say, and they did a sort of investigation with him and talked about the disappearance of Summer. I'm not going to play any of it because of copyright, but I'll put the link for this in the description box below because it's actually really, really interesting, the video itself. And then they do another video of sort of looking at what Don said and how he said it, and coming up with whether they think he's like being truthful or whether he's not. And yeah, it was interesting. It was not for everybody. Gina, hi, welcome. I was going to ask if you saw that video on Behaviour Panel. Yeah, I did. Kimberly, I watched this and I was fuming mad. Why? Tell me. It's the first time I've seen these guys was with this Don Wells case. So I don't know how I feel about them. It's not a channel I've watched a lot, but it was interesting to see Don talking about what happened that day, and it's just another thing in the circus to, yeah. Annie Hall, you don't like them, you think they're useless, just your opinion. That's all right, you're allowed to have that. Really sorry, but I think the behaviour panel are a bunch of shysters. Okay. That's interesting because I don't know about them. I haven't really watched them before. Autumn says, I think Summer's family is dysfunctional, but that doesn't mean that they are involved in her disappearance. That makes it hard for people to focus on her when there's so much going on. So I'm not going to stay on this case because I don't. Everyone's allowed their opinions. That's okay. That's fine. Just be respectful about it. But I just, there's so much backlash and shit going on in this case. I've said it before. It's putting creators against creators. It's causing divides on YouTube with people that believe one thing and another thing. And it's just not something I want to be involved in. There is other things going on with a friend of Grandis, which is Candace's mum, has apparently said something to Grandis, and there's other shit going on, but I'm going to leave it at that. I really don't want to cover this case anymore. So let's have a look. Trudy says, this is a sad day for Alec and the staff. Freak accident, I believe. It did have blanks, they said, but you can imagine the thoughts and feelings. Yeah. Thanks, Trudy. You're right. It's awful. Julie says, sorry if I missed things early on. I needed to refresh the live, was only getting the feed. Don't be sorry, Julie. Don't be sorry. All right. Now, I'm having trouble with my computer because it's not that great. So I can't have like too many tabs open at the same time. So I'm just going to get rid of a couple. And I want to talk about this. This is the arrest warrant for Larry Milliete. He's been arrested for the murder of his wife, Maya Milliete. There is no body yet. They have not found a body. But they are still taking him to court. Now, I can put this in the description box below, or would you like me to read some of it now? Just let me know, guys. At last, Annie Hall says, yeah, at last. So he had an arraignment yesterday. Today, I don't know. Now that I've got rid of some stuff. So glad that he was finally arrested. I've followed this case since John covered it. Sad. Yeah, it's about time. Okay, so this is CBS8.com. Larry Milliete, husband of missing Chula Vista mum Maya, pleads not guilty to first-degree murder weapon possession charges. He was arraigned on murder and weapons possession charges Thursday in a South Bay courtroom. Yeah, very, very sad. For the first time since being arrested for the murder of his wife, Maya, Larry Milliete faced Thursday afternoon and entered a not guilty on a first-degree murder charge of killing his wife, Maya Milliete, in a weapons possession charge. Hang on. Got sound somewhere. I don't want to get done for copyright, so I'm just sure how much I can play and how much I can't play sometimes. This arraignment, which was held in a South Bay courthouse, comes after a barrage of evidence has been unsealed, portraying Larry Milliete as a vindictive, sometimes violent husband, desperate to stop his wife from divorcing him. During his brief arraignment, Milliete's attorney, Martinez, did not argue to lower bail, though a hearing regarding his bail status was set for November 4th. Defense attorney says, I'd happily prosecute this, and I prosecuted for 15 years. They've got a lot of evidence against him in this particular case. Cardoza pointed out that while the evidence unveiled in the arrest warrant for Larry Milliete is overwhelmingly circumstantial, from texts and other messages to cell phone records to GPS coordinates to home security video, it is nonetheless powerful. A bail review was set by the judge for November 4th at 1:30 p.m. So that'll be 1:30 p.m. for those of you in America. I love it how I get viewers from all over the world. It's so cool. Amy says, I hope the Milliete kids go to their grandparents. Yeah. It's very, very sad when kids are involved. Curious, why on earth did they let him have the kids if he was a suspect? I don't know. Trudy coming in with a Summer Wells comment. Honestly, with Don and Candace, I believe they have been selling her for money. I'm not going to carry on with that one. We don't need speculation. There's no proof of that in my eyes. Anyway. She was so loved by her sister. Her sister is determined to find. Amy says she's in Wales. That's definitely the other side of the planet. That's a long way away. Kimberly says, all I know is I can't wait to watch Dr. Phil. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Dr. Phil. Sometimes I kind of like him and some days I just don't, you know? Okay. Let's have a look at the summary of probable cause. Let me just have a drink and a vape and we'll look into it. I do more talking here than in a whole week generally. But that's okay. Hit that like button, please. I really appreciate it. It just helps get the channel seen by other people or more people. And I really appreciate it. It's real hard to break into YouTube, y'all. But yeah, I appreciate that. The investigation has revealed that in the days leading up to January 7th, 2021, Mayor Milliete was taking affirmative steps to divorce her husband and that Larry Milliete was determined to stop her. When Larry's desperate begging and threats failed to stop Mayor from seeking a divorce, the thought of losing his family was unfathomable to him. May was dedicated to her career, loved her family, and she was committed to and cherished her children. There is no evidence to suggest that Mayer left and disappeared of her own accord, or that she had the financial means to do so. Rather, the investigation has revealed that Larry had an overwhelming motive to prevent his wife from divorcing him. On January the 7th, 2021, Mayor Milliete was determined to leave the marriage, and Larry Milliete was determined to stop her. Based on the totality of the investigation and circumstantial evidence, including surveillance video, phone, text and social media communications, and motive, we have probable cause to believe that Larry Milliete unlawfully killed his wife May and disposed of her body on or about January 7 or 8, 2021. Asshole. I didn't say that. I'm going to get demonetized. Amy says, what flavor's in your vape? I think I've got strawberry. Until charges are brought, I don't know what we're referring to. I'd be surprised if Larry pleads guilty. Well, he's already pleaded not guilty so far. Should we go through? Would you guys like me to read a bit of this? Let me know. Annie Hall said lots of odd occurrences, but that night he put the kids out in the backyard at 10:30 p.m. Neighbours heard them playing. Okay, well, let's read a bit more and we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is a brief synopsis of May's disappearance. I don't know why they call her May. I thought it was Maya, but, you know, semantics, doesn't matter. On Saturday, January 9th, 2021, at approximately 23:50 hours, which is 10 to midnight, Mary Chris, someone, hereafter referred to as Mary Chris, called the Chula Vista Police Department to report her sister May Milliete missing. Mary Chris stated that May and her husband, identified as Larry Milliete, had been having marriage problems, including recent fighting. May's family was concerned because they had not heard from May since the evening of Thursday, January 7, 2021. Zul, welcome. Trudy says, just my opinion too. Sorry. Yeah, you're right, Trudy. It's just your opinion, and everyone's allowed opinions. But there's a reason I don't cover the Summer Wells case, and that is because of the speculation. And it's just a circus. It's just a circus. And I don't like throwing information out there unless there's facts to back it up. I don't mind people having opinions, but I want to know that it's come from some facts somewhere, not just making shit up and speculating. That's all. But you're allowed your opinion. All right. Mary Chris stated the family had plans to celebrate May's daughter's 11th birthday, which was on Sunday, January 10th, in Big Bear that weekend, and it was uncharacteristic of May not to be in contact with her family. While Mary Chris was speaking to the officer, she seemed hesitant to speak about Larry and May's argument because she was at Larry and May's house. Because of the hesitation in her voice, officers conducted a welfare check at the residence and arrived shortly after midnight on Sunday, January 10th. Wow. So seems like she was a bit scared of him. During the initial investigation, detectives learned that May and Larry had been having marital issues for the past year, and that Larry discovered that May had an affair. Detectives learned that May and Larry had an argument the evening of January 7th, and that on January 8th, Larry left with his 4-year-old for the day. Larry claimed he heard May in the house the evening of January 8th, but had not seen her since the evening of January 7th. Larry allowed officers to view his cell phone to review the text messages between he and May. Officers noted that all of the messages between Larry and May prior to January 9th had been deleted. Larry later stated he deleted the messages to conserve space on his cell phone. All 4 Milliete family vehicles were at the house when police were notified of May's disappearance. During the investigation, detectives located surveillance footage and observed May park her Jeep Rubicon on the street in front of her residence on January 7th at 16:42 hours. That's like 4:42 p.m. Investigators have obtained multiple sources of video surveillance from the neighborhood, and there is no surveillance footage capturing May leaving her residence after she arrived on January 7th. She is last seen at that time walking towards her residence. Detectives from CVPD Crimes of Violence Unit were assigned to the case and subsequently conducted an extensive... I'm going to start that one again because I just ruined that one. Let's start that one again. Detectives from the CVPD Crimes of Violence Unit were assigned to the case and subsequently conducted an extensive 9-month investigation. During the course of the investigation, 66 search warrants, 87 witnesses were interviewed, and detectives followed up on approximately 128 tips. Numerous searches have been conducted and May has not been located. Larry Milliete has not participated in any of the searches. Another family or another person that's not participating in searches, and that makes you think. Amy says, I think May was a nickname, or Maya was a nickname. John Lorden did say early on, but I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember what he said. Trudy says, finally, it has taken a while, but I'm sure they finally found evidence. Yep, absolutely, because they needed evidence for this. Trudy says there is a missing gun as well. Right, well, let's move on a little bit and see what else. May and Larry were involved in an ongoing and escalating marital discord throughout 2020. The investigation has revealed that in 2020, May Milliete began taking steps to physically and legally separate from Larry. May communicated to her friends in late December 2020 that her marriage was definitely over and she had decided to file for divorce. Google searches on May's electronic devices during 2020 reveal inquiries for different divorce attorneys and searches such as how to calculate child support payments and how much mortgage can I afford, indicating that she was conducting research to begin a life separate from her husband. And they keep on saying, the most dangerous time for women in relationships or DV or whatever is when they try to leave. The investigation has revealed that beginning in September 2020 and through January 7th, Larry became increasingly obsessed with May's activities and communications with other people. Several family and friends described Larry as controlling or exhibiting stalker-like behavior. In 2020, Larry grew increasingly paranoid that May was going to leave the marriage, and he began to monitor her whereabouts. Larry would also show up unannounced to May's work to see if she was meeting with another man. Larry's controlling behavior escalated throughout 2020 and into 2021. On November 24th, 2020, May sent an email to Larry after Larry sent her a link to an article that said, "What men want from their wives." This is May's response. How about maybe you focus on also what women want from their husbands? All these things you send me are just about you, which further solidifies the whole idea that you really think I'm the problem and that if you could only fix me, everything will be okay. As long as I go back to the wife you liked, the one who didn't rock the boat, who didn't assert her feelings, who didn't care about how much she was hurting, so long as there was peace and harmony, then things will be okay, because really I'm the problem, right? It's quite compelling, isn't it? Her own words. There is no evidence to suggest that Maya voluntarily disappeared of her own accord on or about January 7th to 8th. Larry Milliete is the only known person with a means and motive to hurt or kill her and to dispose of her body during that time. Curious, 8 or 9 loud bangs that could have been gunshots, but they can't say for sure. Yes, I had read that somewhere. Hi, Jenna. Maya, that is her nickname. Right, because I'm pretty sure they would have her proper name in the arrest affidavit here, so. And he says it was so disgusting how he kept his kids away from her family, their little cousins, etc. Why else would you do that if you had nothing to hide? He didn't want them talking. I think a lot of people believed straight from the word go that this guy had something to do with it. Blowing smoke at you. Larry's telephonic communications reveal a desperate, frantic, unbalanced mindset coupled with homicidal ideations. Ideations? During the investigation, I learned that during the week of January 4th, 2021, May and Larry's marital discord was reaching a boiling point. A search of Larry's telephonic communications revealed a frantic, desperate, unbalanced mindset coupled with violent and sometimes homicidal ideation that will be further detailed in this affidavit. May's family went to the desert in Glamis for a New Year's celebration in January 2021. Family members described Larry's behavior was odd and erratic. During the same trip, Larry asked a family member if he knew someone to get the other guy. This was interpreted as finding someone to hurt the man with whom May was having an affair. While confiding in a friend about her marital issues, May revealed that at one time in the past, Larry had choked May until she passed out. Larry's controlling behavior escalated throughout 2020 and 2021. Wow. So we know there's been domestic violence in a few ways, and he's actually choked her out. Very scary. A review of Larry's internet searches included plant you take to never wake up and water hemlock. As their relationship declined, May was not interested in a physical relationship with Larry. In December of 2020, Larry conducted a search entitled, "My Wife Doesn't Want Me to Touch Her." And then he searched for flunitrazepam, rohypnol, and diphenhydramine. Say those 10 times fast. These are central nervous system sedatives and depressants that could be used to incapacitate a person. According to the DEA website, flunitrazepam is the generic name for rohypnol, commonly referred to as a date rape drug. Now I know, because I would have just called it rohypnol, because the rest is too hard to say. A review of Larry's cell phone download, financial transactions, and other search warrant returns revealed that Larry sent hundreds of email communications to various companies which appeared to sell spells. The investigation revealed that these companies purport to be psychics and spirit channelers and or white light practitioners capable of energy work who sell spells that can be cast to enhance a person's love life, eliminate debt, or make a romantic partner faithful. Larry purchased numerous spells to cast on May. Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe in psychics and that, because I'm a spiritualist. We won't go into that, but yeah. So on one hand, he was looking for, he was choking her out. He was looking for date rape drugs, but then he was going to cast some spells on her too. Weird. Between 2020 September and January 21, Larry contacted the websites daily, sometimes multiple times a day, purchasing spells and sending messages requesting help so that May would obey him, fall back in love with him, and to incapacitate her or make her sick so that she could not leave the house. Specifically, one message from Larry on December 27 states, "Please punish May and incapacitate her enough so she can't leave the house. It's time to take the gloves off." Wow. What? Wow. I don't even know what to say about this, guys. This is yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure of all the rules with. Hope I don't get demonetized, because there's some crazy stuff. On December 31st, Larry sent an email to a spellcaster indicating that they were in the desert dirt biking and off-roading for several days and asked, "Can you hex to have her hurt enough that she will have to depend on me and need my help? She's only nice to me when she needs me or sick. Thanks again. Maybe an accident or a broken bone." Wow. And I don't know, if a guy was contacting me, say I was a psychic and I did spells and stuff like that, and a guy was emailing me this stuff, would you be concerned and like maybe give the police a call and say, "Hey, something's wrong with this guy. He's asking for some serious weird shit." I don't know. Hey, Gemini, welcome from Facebook. So Larry Milliete has been arrested for her murder, and we're just looking at the arrest affidavit at the moment. I'll try and read this, but it's actually quite blurry. A review of May's communications with family and friends leading up to January 7th shows she was preparing for divorce and that her efforts culminated that week, causing escalating tension with Larry. In a text message exchanged with a friend on January 6th, that's the day before she went missing, May stated, "I told him I'm filing for divorce whether he likes it or not. I'm done trying to make it amicable for the sake of the kids." She said, "I'm really hoping to get through this weekend first for her daughter's birthday." At 12:15 hours on January 7th, May spoke with a law firm and set up an appointment with a divorce attorney for Tuesday, January 12th. May specifically wanted to wait to initiate the divorce until after her daughter's birthday on January 10th. May's last phone call on January 7th was at 15:48 hours with a divorce attorney. Her last known communication with any friend or family member on January 7th was at 20:15 hours when she shared an ad for a toy hauler with her family through Facebook Messenger. I'm not going to continue to read because it's really blurry and my eyes are getting a bit sore, but I'll put this in the description box below so that you guys can read it. Yeah. And he says so many red flags. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's just red flags everywhere. And we know when the most dangerous time for a woman to leave is, well, when they leave, that's the most dangerous time for them. And obviously she'd spoken and made an appointment for a divorce lawyer that day. So, yeah. Julie says, I would call the police. Yeah. Autumn Falls. This is my face after listening to all this. It's crazy. It's crazy. Angelina, that stuff really works in the Latino country. I'm not saying that the spells don't work. I'm not saying I don't believe in psychics. I'm not saying all that. What I'm just getting at is if he was contacting these people and saying comments like that and asking for spells that can incapacitate his wife or break a bone or something like that, wouldn't you be concerned and notify the police and say something's going to happen to this lady? This dude is off his chops. He's a dick. Oh my God. Jenna, poor May, I know, right? Kimberly says, my ex cut my brake lines and tried everything to make me stay with him. He served a year for stalking me and holding me hostage. I was able to get an 18-year order of protection. Oh my God, Kim, I'm so glad you're safe. Oh, goodness me. No worries. Yes, we have a responsibility. I think so. Have a responsibility to notify the police. I think so. T-Rex. Pam says, my former stepdaughter terrifies me. She's nuts. Sorry about that, Pam. Be careful. All right. We're going to have a look at, I think, the last case that we're going to look at today, and then we're going to have a bit of a chat about them all afterwards. But we've got to talk about it, really, don't we? The Brian Laundrie case. So I listened to his attorney say some stuff yesterday, and I've watched a few videos, and there's a lot of shit going on. Whoever thought this finding of the human remains of Brian thought this would settle it down, you're wrong, because there's still protesters, there's still speculation about what's happened and how the remains got there and how they were found, and yeah. But I did watch this interview with the attorney, and he plainly says that it was him that told the Laundries to not speak to anyone. So he's taking, responsibility for that. The public, or a lot of the public, are questioning that it was weird how the Laundrie family decided to have a search and then they found what they found. So the day before the remains were found, the Laundries rang their lawyer, who knows them for 25 years. He watched the kids, Cassie and Dickhead, grow up, by the way. He said that the Laundries rang him and said that they were going to go and search now that there was no water for Brian, because the FBI and that opened up the park, or opened up the reserve. The Lawyer then rang the police and said, the Laundries are turning up in there in the morning. I thought I'd better let you know that they're going to go searching. So apparently the police met them there, and they were searching with the police. So in my opinion, there's no way that the parents could have planted evidence or planted body remains or something that they were going to find, because they were with the cops, and there were so many reporters and shit out there that somebody would have seen them do it. So I'm so frustrated he wasn't arrested right away when he returned to Florida. But arrested for what, though, Gina? Pam says, it says in the good book to know something and not say something is the same as the sin being committed. Yeah. Kimberly. His father would even harass me. They tried to follow me from the courtroom. Oh, sorry about that, Kimberly. That sounds terrible. Autumn says maybe there wasn't enough evidence when he first came home. Yeah, well, I guess so. If there's no evidence, they couldn't. And he says, so the biggest takeaway from today is when he said that Chris Laundrie said he wished he had stopped him walking out the door that day, that Brian was grieving and very upset. So you're right about that. They said that Brian left to go hiking or whatever, to go and calm himself down, and he was really upset when he left the house. And Chris and Roberta just let him go, and then after a few days realized that he hadn't come back. And yeah. Jetta says maybe so, but it was so sketchy. It's like we all had that feeling, and he just slipped through law enforcement's fingers. He really did. But I don't know. Could they have watched him for no reason? Like if he was not a suspect for anything at that time, and could they have watched him all that time? The police. And he says, then what was he grieving about on the 13th? Her body was discovered on the 19th. You make a good point, Annie. Curious says, it doesn't make sense that the Laundries told law enforcement where to search, and it was searched 3 times. The parents pop in for half an hour and find him. Yeah, I understand how it seems really weird, doesn't it? And it seems a bit too sus. But I think that we have another family that's grieving for the loss of their son at the moment. And I think that they should be given a little bit of space to digest the information. And I don't know how I feel about the protesters still out there outside their house at the moment. I know in New Zealand this is not something that would happen, so it's different watching it, from around the world. Yeah. What a case. Kimberly says, don't ever tell them you're leaving, just do it. Absolutely right. Be safe. Pam says, the fact of the matter is 2 very young adults with their whole lives ahead of them lost their lives being in a toxic relationship. Yeah. Kimberly said, I was livid when he said this day is not for Gabby. Yes, so the lawyer had a lot to say, and there was a lot that he said that was not very well liked, let's say. So there's a lot to go and find on YouTube and the internet if you want to know more. Autumn says, even though Brian was a douche, that doesn't mean his parents don't deserve to mourn their loss. Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you, Autumn. I think they should be given some space to grieve because they've lost their son. And as a mum, that's really heartbreaking. And then in time, they're going to have to answer some questions. Absolutely. There's still questions that need answering. Yeah. I don't want to play the interview because I'm scared of getting copyright strike, but I definitely will put the description in the box below so you guys can. And he says, well, one lost their life, the other one took his own. A bit different. Yeah, it is a bit different, but for the families, it's still a death. Laundries have some answers. They have to answer some questions, that's for sure, but I think they should be given some time to grieve. I mean, they must have really known about what happened to Brian and what he was going to do. I believe that. But when you actually get an affirmative on it, yeah. So what I heard from a Florida prosecutor is that the laws there mean that possible court documents or documents that from the coroner and that will be made public is what I have heard. If anyone knows more about that, let me know. So we're going to be waiting for the manner of death. Curious says, I agree, TJ. The protesters need to shut up now. They are just there for attention now. I've never known how I felt about the protesters the whole way through. I know that they wanted to put pressure on the family. And they really did. They put the pressure on. It's not something that would happen in New Zealand. So for us, we just thought it was a bit much. But they're allowed to do it. Autumn says, I'm not sure if they knew parents can have a blind spot for their kids. Absolutely. Absolutely. Parents have a blind spot for their kids. I totally believe that. Jenna says, I hope the laundries are ready to open up soon about what they know. Absolutely. They've got to answer some questions. They've got some tough questions to answer. I don't know. I've seen that it's unlikely. The lawyer said it's unlikely that they will be charged with anything at all. So they probably don't have to speak. And we don't know if they will speak. We just have to wait and see. But the lawyer took responsibility for the fact that he told them to shut up and not say anything to anyone at all. And they were just following his advice. He's known the family for 25 years. He's seen the kids grow up, Cassie and Brian. Sorry, guys. Angelina says they need to leave them alone already. Annie says, well, if they had done the right thing in the beginning, it could be different now. Sounds like the guilt is setting in. T-Rex, Pam, your son is your son. You can't turn that off if you're a real parent. You can stand by them, but make them be a man and admit what they did because you will always live. Do you know, I wondered, because we've seen the pictures of these guys at Fort DeSoto campground when he got back, and he was happy. He was happy taking pictures with his family, happy taking pictures with his nephews. I wonder if that was really a last goodbye to his family. He wanted to have a good time with his family for the last time because he knew what was going to happen and he knew what was coming up. And he said, you don't get a lawyer for no reason. They must have known something. Yes and no. If I got accused of something or my kids got accused of something, I think if I could, I would get them a lawyer. You see so many cases of police like brutality and police tricking people, and I think that I would get a lawyer. Curious says, I think their lawyer has a lot to answer for, and he does. So he takes responsibility for it. Kimberly says, if my son did that, no matter how much I love him, I know what my savior would want. Gina says, I think the same thing, last time to see them all. Yeah, I just get that Fort DeSoto camping trip was the last time to get some photos of him with the kids, see his sister, his parents were there. Yeah. Pam says, Kimberly, I agree, but you still love him the same as the Lord still loves us when we sin. Angelina, sorry, that was me. My parents would not stop me from leaving. I'd be running out. Julie says, yes, always get a lawyer. Otherwise, they think that they can dupe you. Yeah, I would be scared of the police. If it was a serious case, I would lawyer up, or I would get my kids to lawyer up. And that could bring us on to another question about polygraph tests. You know, when people decline to take those, people jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, they must be guilty because they're not going to take one. But I wouldn't take one, even if I was innocent. I wouldn't take one because they're not admissible court, and I don't trust them. I would be scared that my anxiety and stress would be enough to set it off. So, doesn't mean I'd be guilty. Just means I don't want to put myself in that position. Autumn says I don't put much stock in polygraphs. Neither do I. Pam Smith says, but I'd lawyer up, but make him answer. Absolutely, absolutely. If my son did something serious, I would tell him to go and talk to the police with his lawyer, of course. And he says, but they had a lawyer before the police even spoke to them. Right. So they were pretty quick on the lawyer front, weren't they? Why would they get a lawyer if they didn't know anything? Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So they had to know something was going on. Something was going on. They lawyered up because Gabby's family were asking where she was. So they knew. They must have been asking him questions. Where the hell is Gabby? Why are you back without her? So they have to have known something. Like Kira says, they lawyered up way before Gabby was found, so they must have known something. Yeah. Yep. Kimberly, also didn't Gabby's father go there and they told him nothing? So Chris went there, I don't know if it was like a couple of weeks ago. He went there and did some searching there and told them where some of the places he was likely to be. But I don't know how much water there was at that stage. Julie says, I think they've always had a lawyer. He's now their friend of 25 years. Yeah, he said he's known them 25 years. He watched the kids grow up. He knows the family really, really well. Real estate lawyer. He's done lots of deals with them. Yada, yada, yada. So, I don't know. I didn't get a good feeling from him after I watched the interview, I must say. But that's just me. That's just me. My opinion. My opinion. So, I don't know if we missed any cases that are going on at the moment. It's just way too much. Way too much. I thought Gabby's dad went to the Laundrie's home in the beginning. Did he not go there and try and knock on their door or something? Or was it Gabby's family ringing and texting, I think, were trying to ring and text to try and get some information when they found out that Brian was back with that van and Gabby wasn't with him. It said that the Laundries did not answer their calls or their texts when they were trying to find Gabby. Sorry, Kimberly was talking about Gabby's father going to the Laundrie's house to ask where she was. Yeah, I don't know if that, I haven't seen that. And didn't the police get called on him? Do you know what? This case has gone over weeks and I can't remember all the details. So I'm relying on you guys actually to give details because I just can't remember all of them. Got so much in my head. I am working on a New Zealand case of a mum who her murder is unsolved. I am going to be working with the family to put something together. I've been working hard, not at YouTube, just, working hard and sleeping a lot. I have chronic fatigue, and when I do a 10-hour shift at work, I have to sleep for a day afterwards, just about to get back to normal. So I don't have a lot of time when I'm doing these live streams to make videos as well, but I'm going to do my best. Curious says, yeah, I think he did, but they didn't open the door to him, but don't quote me on that. Right. Pam says, that's how they found the van and her mum reported her missing. Julie, my dad has had a lawyer for about 40 years. I'm not aware of anyone he has killed. Yeah. Jenna, I feel like Brian could have been detained for stealing Gabby's van. Yes, they should have checked the registration. I think that something about the van, though, he was either on the insurance. She said that he was on the insurance so that he could drive it. So they probably couldn't arrest him for grand theft auto because he was given permission by Gabby to drive the van. That's what I think. Anyway, bless your heart, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you. Who is the New Zealand case? I'm not going to say much about it, but I'm hopefully going to be contacting the family back today or tomorrow and start doing some work on getting it out there. Angelina, thank you, darling, for this update. Much love to everyone. Have a blessed day. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it. So before I go, is there anyone that wants to come up on here and have a chat with me? You don't have to have the the camera on. You can just have audio if you want to come up and have a talk about any of these cases. New Zealand Mysteries, have you heard of the Knock Cordova case? No, I haven't. No, I'm just writing that down though because I'm going to Cordova. Never heard of it. Nick. Oh, Nick. I wrote Knock Cordova. I probably would have been able to find much. I look forward to that New Zealand case. Yes. It'll be good to put one out. So I've also got links below to, I'm going to try and put as many of the links below to the articles that we've read. There's a link to my interview with John Lorden, which is quite interesting if you want to go and have a look at that. Please like, please subscribe, and if you can buy me a coffee, please, a $3 coffee would go down well. Help me when I'm researching and working. I'm going to go, guys. I've been talking for too long. It was really good seeing you, and I'll keep an eye out for updates, and when some updates are coming up, I will stream again. Thank you, Facebook. I know that you're not really that interested in the international cases. You prefer the New Zealand cases, which are coming, but I'm really glad that some of you turned up. It was really, really good. It don't work that way. You still have to have permission to take vehicle, even if insurance, unless you're on title as dual owner. Okay, Pam, but I don't know why they didn't arrest him then. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Have a great day, Curious. Thank you so much. Jenna, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks, Autumn. Thanks, Julie. Kimberly. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. See you, Annie. Bye, my darling Pam. Have a chat in the comments below if you want to chat about the case. I'll see you later, guys.